Hey kids, 7th grade, this is Mrs. Gardner, and this is your video for finishing your paper Roman mosaic assignment. And Monday I gave you an assignment in Schoology that you should have opened up to read. Kind of gives you the basics on what's required. Now what you see in front of you is, hopefully you watched the videos and looked at the PDF file that has the instructions and some of the samples and steps. But you see the first stage about just sketching your basic shape or idea with a border around it. And then this is what you saw when it was in progress earlier. Now these are all glued on there. Usually I start with the border and cut my strips. You see some of my strips that you would recognize from before. And I would simply snip off my tesserae pieces or little tiny pieces and spread them out so that you have consistent spaces in between your pieces. And I would practice dry first, and then at least maybe a row, and then I would put a little glue on the back. So I prefer using the liquid glue. I sent you home with the glue sticks that had more of them, but you're welcome to use the liquid glue. I liked it because you could even put a little dot of glue on the paper and then stick your piece on and kind of wiggle it around and then press it when you're sure you know where to put it. Like I say, I would usually lay out some pieces first, see how they fit dry, because when you spread them out, they do get bigger and it changes a little bit. So hopefully you start with a simple idea, and you can see this is the eyeball. And here's the finished one that has it onto the frame. And if I look up close, you can see the details. And it's okay to leave some of these spaces, okay? It doesn't have to be completely mosaic, but mosaic the areas as much as possible, meaning using little pieces that are slightly spread apart to kind of give an overall image. Okay, now notice that the frame is not attached. In fact, I purposely left it out of the way to keep it clean. So I'm going to show you how to kind of finish this up and get this all out of the way. And let's say you have, well, first have a piece of newspaper. That's always helpful. But let's say you finished your mosaic and it is dry. The pieces aren't going to move around on you. The easy way to kind of finish this up is, let's say you're finished. Oh, this is a nice student one, by the way. I cut triangles. And they probably cut their letter out first and then actually snipped it apart and spread it, which is kind of a neat trick. That's helpful. And nice border. And even mosaic completely into the background. That's excellent. Now, to get it on here, you'll flip it over onto clean newspaper and then actually use just a regular glue stick like this. Notice I'm over newspaper. My frame is not in the way, so I don't want to get glue all over my frame. I'm going, if you're doing this right, you're actually letting some of this glue get onto the newspaper. That way you know you're getting all the edges. Okay. Now, this one actually came, I peeled it off just to show you how, but this was clean at the time. And then I just centered it, kind of eyeballed it, made sure it looked like it had equal spacing on both sides, and then pressed it when I was sure. Now, if you have a nice clean surface, you can even turn it over, kind of iron it with your hands. And just be sure that you also sign your name, okay? Now, that's the most straightforward way of finishing it up. But another way is, if you have the time and you want to, like if we were in person in class, some kids would choose to do this. There's a little bit of a glisten to this. It's a little bit shiny. Sometimes we have little glue that gets a little bit messy and it dries and you can see it. Well, an easy way to disguise it, or just to make it glossy so that it really, the pieces don't pop off or anything like that, is to lay it onto your newspaper. Notice I don't have any frame on it. And this is if you have the time and if you like that extra step. And I basically just drizzled glue, liquid glue of course, it has to be liquid glue, because you know when this white glue dries it will go back to clear. So it's going to look really milky, keeping it really still. I'm holding this down. I'm trying not to go too fast and I'm being very generous with the glue. trying to make sure I go different directions so that it gets in these little tiny crevices and deep areas, because this glue is going to not only give it a nice sheen or glaze or gloss, it's also going to dry very clear and keep those pieces on. Then I would just do some more. Ooh, that's a lot, but that's okay, it'll work. Now I'm going to glue this whole thing so you can see how it's done. Now I tell you, you don't want this to glue to the newspaper. Do be careful about that. So I usually have, before I give it a chance to dry, I would actually move this onto a clean piece. Make sure if you're going to do this step, then go all the way with it and make sure that you don't leave any dry spots, or you won't have that nice gloss. You want it to be nice and consistent. Now remember, you can skip this step. You don't have to do this step. But there'll be a few of you who will want to. You might like that glossy look to it. And you might have some white glue at home that you can do this with. Now some people go a little thick like this where it looks very milky. Some people go a little bit thinner. Try to, if you get air bubbles, spread those air bubbles out. Get them out of there, because they'll dry that way. Okay, I think I don't see any dry spots. Okay, now I don't want this to glue to it, so I would actually get it off of here, and I'm just going to turn this upside down. Here, there we go. So I know that part's clean, and just lay it on there, let it dry overnight. And then I could go to that last step the next day, and I could use my regular glue stick that looks like this, and turn it onto clean newspaper, and then get it onto my background like this one was. So remember, you can skip that step. If you want to just do it regular dry like this, that's fine. Now to turn this in, you will need to make sure I see that you finished it. One way is you can do that right in Schoology. If you open up the assignment for this project, click on it, and then there should be maybe a plus in the upper right hand area where you could click on that plus, and it'll let you submit a photo. So that would be a way that you could choose a photo if you already have taken a picture of it. Now if you haven't taken a picture of it, in Schoology there's a camera picture icon. It's in the lower left. You could take a picture with your Chromebook, and then perhaps just select that and submit it. Another way is just to take a photo and then attach it to an email and just send it to me, and that would be good. Or if all else fails, bring it back to school on the first day back and simply show it to me. You can turn it in our regular turn-in bin, or just show it to me. Make sure your name's on it, of course, and I'll grade it that way. Okay, so that would be fine. It'd be nice if you maybe shoot me an email and tell me you're going to do it that way, so I won't worry that maybe you forgot to do that. Okay, so whichever way you can get it back to me, that'd be great. If you can just send me a photo, that's best, and you won't even have to bring it back. You can keep it at home. Okay, thank you. Bye.